Today's episode is with Jennie Rawling, Creative Director of the Brave Biscuit Studios. Jennie is a professional puppeteer, performer and creative on a mission to ignite imaginations, inspire action and help foster a deep connection of her audiences to issues that matter most. Within this interview, Jennie and I talk about a whole range of things, including how when she went to drama school, she witnessed magic and discovered puppeteering, and that has kind of led her to where she is today after starting off working in the corporate world. We also talk about the importance of letting go and learning to let go throughout motherhood, which is a real challenge, as well as Jennie sharing with us her tips on how to be a happy, thriving mum. Welcome to the Happy Thriving Mums podcast, the show that talks about the simple actions busy mums like you can take to prioritise your own health, happiness and fitness. And it doesn't stop there. This show also includes amazing stories from remarkable women who help others to be the best version of themselves. Because if you feel great, you thrive, and so does your family. So, if you're ready to overcome mum guilt, manage overwhelm, feel and look your best and create a happier, more balanced life for yourself and your family, this podcast is for you. Hello Jennie, welcome to Happy Thriving Mums. I'm so happy to have you on.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's exciting to be here.
Great. Right. I start every podcast with what I call the school run pitch, which I think for you is the nursery pitch at the moment. So you've heard of an elevator pitch, but this is a school run pitch. So you've got about 45 seconds between drop off and dashing off to whatever you have to do next when another parent stops you and says, "So what is it that you do again?" What would you say to them?
I would say I am a puppeteer and I run a puppetry company called Brave Biscuit Studios that creates shows for families primarily, runs puppetry and puppetry making workshops and creative community projects here in Cornwall, which is where I'm based.
Amazing. That just sounds like the most lovely job. I mean, that is something that I think everybody would love to do. So how did this all come about? And I love the name, by the way. I was reading,
Thank you.
I was reading why it was called that, but I'm sure you might mention that in a second.
Yes, yeah, I love biscuits. Uh, how did it all come about? Gosh, so I actually worked in the corporate world for about 10 years, nearly 10 years. And it wasn't what I wanted to do. I always wanted to perform, but was kind of it wasn't a sensible option. So I thought I'd be sensible, and that was that was not the right decision because in the end, I just wasn't happy in that environment. And I went to drama school. I was very lucky to get a place. Went to East 15, trained there on the MA acting, discovered puppetry as well, and thought this is amazing. This is magic. I am witnessing magic on stage, and so gradually my work went more in that direction of working with puppets, and then I trained at the Curious School of Puppetry with Sarah Wright and many other amazing puppetry practitioners to take my work to that next step, and decided I wanted to make my own work. So I was working a lot in other people's shows, which is great fun. But I had an idea for a show I wanted to create. So as a vehicle for that, I decided to create a company, which wasn't originally Brave Biscuit Studios. It had a different name. Originally, it was called Nosy Hedgehog Puppetry, which is
Another
incredibly
great
cute.
name.
I love hedgehogs as well. It's a really cute name, but it was too cute. It was too cute for what I wanted to do. Because I'm also very keen to get adults involved in puppetry, just for fun, and sort of challenging this idea that puppets are just for children. And so I thought I need a different name, and I came up with something equally ridiculous, Brave Biscuit Studios, because I love alliteration. I
Me
love
too.
biscuits. Who doesn't love biscuits? And I thought brave was a really positive, a really positive word. And studios kind of encapsulates all different kinds of creativity. So it's obviously we're mainly focused on puppetry, but I'm interested in exploring stop motion and other areas as well. So
Well, I
that's
think
how it came about.
Well, not only is it incredibly creative as a name, it's completely memorable as well. I mean,
Yes.
it's unforgettable, and I just love the way it kind of evolved over time.
Yeah.
And what a journey! And I think the brave part actually is really a great reflection of you to take that step away from what people may see as more a corporate safe way of kind of being to actually following something that you're completely passionate about, that you clearly love, and kind of
Mm-hmm.
allowing yourself to develop yourself actually and be you rather than being
Yeah.
or doing something which felt like the right thing to do at a time. And maybe it was, but I think until you go through those steps, you maybe don't find the path that you're maybe meant to take.
It's very true. I feel like maybe I wouldn't have appreciated this path as much if I hadn't done that first. So I
Mm,
was 28 when I went to drama school.
wow.
And there are people quite a bit younger, and there are people quite a bit older because I did the MA,
Oh,
the
okay.
master's degree. So there were all ages there actually, which is really rich environment. But I
Mm.
feel if I hadn't had that experience of doing it's like you kind of need to find out what you don't want to do. Like that's just as important as finding out what you do want to do. And I solidified what I don't want to do. um, and
Yes.
then was able to say, okay, but what do I want to do? Yeah, so I think it was actually it's all useful experience.
I think it is, and I think what you have when you are that little bit older is, as you said, that experience. And
Mm.
I completely agree, actually. Sometimes actually finding out what you don't like is more important
Yeah.
than what you do like, I think, in many ways. And it's something that people don't suggest that you do they? They don't say, what is it that you don't like? They always say, oh, what is it that you do like? What might you enjoy? So I think that's really, really fascinating. Do you mind me asking what the corporate job was or what kind of area you were in for that?
So it was various different areas within higher education marketing.
Okay.
So I worked as a corporate communications officer, and I actually, to be honest, some of the work I didn't mind it. I was doing a lot of copy editing, proofreading, which I actually I have OCD, and I actually quite enjoy the sort of meticulous nature of that.
Mm,
And I was a press officer for a while, so I was writing a lot, and I worked in web comms. So it's not that it was the actual work itself, because I actually quite enjoyed doing that.
mm,
Um, it was just sort of going to an office 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and kind of working to someone else's agenda, or someone else's vision,
mm.
just wasn't really for me. And I think it was, yeah, discovering that I needed to use my creativity more, start my own business.
Yeah, amazing.
And work to support my vision rather
And
than someone else's.
And I think that is something which is so desirable, but also so brave, as I said, but also without that kind of journey through those previous jobs, the skills that you probably learned and developed there set you in amazing stead to be a business owner and to then path your own way to kind of where you are now. So I think it's really fascinating. And now you're here doing something which you love. I was reading about the Brave Business Studios, and I loved what it says on your website about being on a mission to ignite imaginations, inspire action, and foster a deeper connection to the issues that matter most. And from the work that you've done, I see that you really actually do focus on quite important issues, but in a way which is actually really approachable by everybody. And I thought it was really interesting what you said about trying to make your puppetry not just for children, which as I think it is quite, I think Sesame Street and the Muppets have done a lot for puppets for children, haven't they? But there
Yeah.
isn't quite that next step up in some ways for adults. So can you kind of talk about how your work kind of helps to navigate that kind of whole age group kind of situation whilst kind of talking about the issues which are really important, maybe to you, but to everybody?
Sure. So a big one is our show. Uh, here comes another very sensible title. It's called When Seagulls Save the World. Um, I love seagulls as well. Herring gulls and great black-backed gulls both feature. And this is, we call it a family show, because it's that idea that, yes, the primary target audience might be sort of key stage 1, key stage 2 kids, but we want the whole family to enjoy it. We want the whole family to have a great time. We don't want, parents, carers, grandparents, teachers to be sat there bored, and wishing they were somewhere else. We want it to be for everybody. And so a big part of that process, we did create a script, but we did it from improvisations in the rehearsal room. Had some amazing performers who improvised with these two puppet characters, and then I scripted from that. And in it, we got as many dad jokes, what you call dad jokes, as we could. I'm a big fan of jokes like that. And it was really heartwarming, actually. I remember at one of the shows sitting there, I was able to be like a fly on the wall. I sat there in the audience and I was able to witness how the audience reacted to the show. And there were just a few adults who had very distinctive laughs, and I could just hear all these dad jokes. I guess they were dads. It was guys. They were all laughing at these jokes, and the kids, the kids were laughing at the very slapstick stuff, which was very funny. When they get stuck in the net and things. But hearing the adults laugh at those jokes as well, I thought, great, yeah, we've managed it. They're having a great time as well, and that was something I really wanted to do. And the show itself is about plastic pollution.
Amazing.
Which is a huge issue. So where I live, I live in Falmouth, right by the sea, and the whole of Cornwall, you're never that far from the sea. So plastic pollution in the sea and on the coastlines is a huge issue here, and one that people living here and people visiting here will witness firsthand. So very, very relevant. And with the seagulls, it's a character. If you live here, you always see seagulls. You get used to living alongside them. I know it can be quite a nuisance for visitors because they're not always used to, being bullied for their pasty on the beach.
Yes, I've had an incident with some chips before.
Right. Yeah, and I had with an ice cream, actually. When I first moved here in St Ives, I was like backed into a corner by a few seagulls who wanted my ice cream. But the St Ives seagulls, they're next level.
Yeah, mine were in Brighton, and I think they're probably of a similar ilk. Yes, it was a terrifying experience.
I know what they're doing. But actually, there's a whole environmental issue there, of overfishing and everything, leading to them needing to find other sources of food, and there's sort of the conservation because they're a protected species, which people don't.
I didn't know that. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think because people, we see them at the beach and it looks like they're everywhere. And as soon as we get our pasty out, or as soon as we get our sandwiches out, they're there and they're following us. It's like, oh, these seagulls, why are they everywhere? But actually, they're not everywhere. They're just where you are with your food.
Yeah.
And there had been a decline in numbers, so that's why they became protected species.
Wow.
So yeah, it was just kind of. I mean, it is anthropomorphism, but a lot of puppetry uses that, and it's just taking a creature, an animal that people will very much see here, and I was going to say humanizing it, but I don't. That's not really what I'm trying to say, because it shouldn't have to be related to a human for us to care about it at all. But sometimes, unfortunately, I think people do need that. They can't just care for something because it's part of the animal world.
No, I think sometimes it's more relatable, isn't it? And so if people can relate to it better, it kind of sometimes can hit in a different way, can't it?
Yeah, and these seagulls, they've got names and they've got funny accents, and they've got real funny characters. It's a little bit, it's a comedy duo, two of these herring gulls in there. It's a little bit like the Chuckle Brothers kind of vibe.
I want to see
So
this. This sounds brilliant.
it's, well, you can see it this summer. We mentioned that at the end, but yeah, we're bringing it back this year, but here in Cornwall.
Oh,
But it is,
amazing.
I think, people then when they see seagulls on the beach the next day, they're imagining these gulls having these conversations with each other that they saw
Yeah,
in the show, which is really fun.
I love it.
And then they might not be quite so aggressive towards them.
I think that's so interesting because I think seagulls do get bad rep, don't they, in many
Yeah.
ways. But actually, the way that you've explained it so eloquently about actually the reasoning behind it, it will make people think. The other thing
Yeah.
that I took from what you were saying was I think it's such a skill to be able to make something intergenerational. So having, like, as you said, the way that you've carefully put together this so it appeals to all ages in all different ways is such a clever thing to do. And I think it can really bring together a family, as you're saying that you kind of like aim this as a family show, to have that shared experience. And I think having a shared experience as a family related to something which is so important, such as like the plastic pollution situation around our beaches, is a real kind of clever balance of creativity close to home for you especially, but able to spread a
Yeah.
message in a way which is really, really appealing. So I think it sounds amazing what you've done. And I was also reading that I think there's another project that you've got coming up which is all about motherhood, which ties
Oh
in
yes.
really beautifully to obviously the conversation today. So can you explain a little bit more about that for us, please?
Yeah, so that one, gosh, lots of it's a very exciting stage at the moment. So we're sort of in the ideation stage, very early planning stage, discussing with different creatives who are all mums, who I've met on my motherhood journey so far. And it came really from me feeling like I'd lost ownership of my body through pregnancy and through becoming a mum. And
Yeah,
before I had my daughter, I was very physically fit and physically aware. And I worked a lot with very large scale puppets. So I've done some big projects, project called The Hatchling, which had, gosh, 15 puppeteers or something at one time, like a huge project with strength, strength required. And we all trained together. So I was very aware of my body and felt like I had that control over it. And then obviously, pregnancy just changed all of that completely. And then
completely.
and
Yeah.
then early motherhood, just and even now that my body has sort of returned kind of to how it looked before, but not, because obviously they never do.
No.
It's still it's a new body, and it's discovering that. So it was this idea of using puppetry and very simple puppet making, for mums to sort of reclaim that kind of ownership. So through creating initially paper puppets together, and creating a puppet version of how they feel now, that embodiment of their experience would give them a chance to take ownership of that again, and then working on deeper into the work and adding some journaling and some mark making. So it's a whole creative process, and ultimately also having a performative element. So there's sort of two strands. There's more of a community participatory strand, and then that will inform the performative strand, which will be professional performers who are also mums.
Yeah.
So dancers, puppeteers, actors, working together to create a piece that encapsulates these stories, using movement and dance and puppetry. So it's quite a big project, and it's something I would love for us to sort of do a pilot with a small group
Mm.
of mums locally here, and then if we can then spread it out further so that various other areas people can do the same project if it has a benefit for those mums.
Yeah.
I would love that.
I Everything you said there, I feel so connected with because through my work and the clients that I work with in kind of like a fitness space, through being a mother myself, through talking with friends, meet people that you meet, because as a mum, as you know, you meet people all the time, don't you? Especially when you've got a tiny baby, people want to talk to you all the time, but yet it can still be a very lonely place. And I think this whole, how did you put it, losing ownership of your body is a massive thing. And I don't know how you feel, but I feel there's so many things that people don't tell you about becoming a mum. And I think there's loads. You could write 10,000 books on it. I really do think that. But I think that the losing your ownership of your body is a real big one, because it's you, isn't it? It is a part of you. And I really believe that, as you said, when you've had your baby and your children are growing up, and your body's changed, and it's ultimately changed forever. And I think you'll never go back to as you were. But you can regain elements of yourself whilst becoming the new version of you, to want of a better term. And the way that you talk about kind of, I don't like the word dealing with it. I don't think that's the right term.
No.
I can't think of a better one right now. But kind of integrating a creative element to help you understand and process and grow with it is an incredible project, as you said.
I think process is a good word that you said, and it's an exploration. I think an exploration and a processing, in a very selfish, but not in a negative way, way that most new mums and later on in motherhood just don't have.
Yeah.
Maybe people say, "Oh, how are you doing?"
Yeah. Are you okay?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Well,
You look a bit
you better not.
tired. Yeah.
Yes, really. Yes, I've slept 2 hours. Yeah, there's not that that indulgence, and that much needed indulgence of actually exploring, and mining deep in that experience. And also, puppets are fun, and it's just a very original way. I think a lot of people won't have worked with puppets before.
No.
So it'll be something quite new. So they won't come to it with an idea already of, oh well, it's going to be this or it's going to be that,
No.
or oh no, I can't draw, or I can't do this. Like, well, actually, I don't know. Maybe I can work with puppets. Maybe I can make a puppet. So it's something that I think that so many of us mums, we just don't have that time to explore, and it'd be very therapeutic. I hope.
I think it will, and I think the time piece is an interesting one, because I think maybe we don't have the time, but I think we're often told what we should do with our time and be made to feel guilty for thinking possibly that maybe we could do something else which will help us, such as this lovely project that you've got planned. And I think it's actually essential to take that time and decide, actually, I'm going to make this a priority, and I'm going to explore and help me process this and move through and find ways to feel as great as I can, because obviously if you can feel great, it helps everything, doesn't it? It helps all areas of your life.
Exactly. And the way we mother our children as well.
Exactly.
It all has a knock-on effect.
I completely agree.
It's enough of a reason just to focus on ourselves, but obviously we struggle with that. So if we need an external reason, it will help with that.
Everything. It will help you being a better mother, a better friend, a better parent, better partner, all of these things. And I always try, that's like my key thing. You should take time for yourself, because then it doesn't just help you, it helps everybody. And I think it's so important. So I think from the projects that you've talked about, it's clear that kind of, again, this kind of like navigating path has changed. So I believe you started your business before you had it's your daughter, isn't it?
Yes, Evie. Yeah.
Evie. So how has things changed since having Evie?
So well, firstly, I started the business in 2020, and we all know what happened in 2020.
Interesting time, yeah.
And my professional world shut down because theatres closed. So it was an interesting time to start a business. So it's been through quite a journey from what we could initially do with that, and what kind of projects we were able to run for people who were shielding and things like that. And then the summer of 2022, we toured When Seagulls Save the World to a few outdoor venues in Cornwall, and I was in my first trimester when we were rehearsing and creating the show. I wasn't in the show, I was directing it and producing, assistant producing, but very tired.
Yes.
and had to occasionally have a nap at various points.
Brilliant.
And the whole cast and everybody there knew it was before the 12-week scan, but I just made the decision to let everybody know so that they were aware of what was going on and could kind of keep an eye, if I needed to rest. Yeah. This was why.
Good.
So yeah, we created the show then, and it was really well received, and I was very excited afterwards. I thought, great, next year we'll tour it further afield in the UK. I'll get the next Arts Council bid in, because a lot of this work is funded by grants from people like the Arts Council. And then just sort of underestimated a little bit how full on it is, having a newborn. And obviously did not write that funding bid and did not tour the show in 2023 and was just getting through that first year, really. And I had, my daughter had, we think she had what they call colic.
Oh yeah, that's so hard to deal with.
Yeah, there's not really enough research into it, but there was just constant screaming for about the first 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's really challenging, and it just, everything had to take a step back. It really did. And then gradually I started to emerge, and I really feel that's kind of what happened.
The emergence.
Yes, re-emergence, I suppose, from the fog.
Yeah.
And started working professionally again on some other people's shows as a puppeteer, and just little baby steps, and thought, right, where am I at with this? Let's get things moving again. But I just had to slow down the pace, I think. I've always been ambitious, and I think that's a great thing. I've always had big things I want to make happen and have an impact. But that just had to take the pressure off a little bit, because it wasn't going to happen as quickly and with as much energy. And the biggest change really has been this year, bringing on support to the business. So it was just me, as so many small businesses are.
Yeah.
But I changed the company to a community interest company, a CIC, because I felt that sort of better served the community we were working with. And then I brought on 2 other directors this year who joined me, who are fellow creatives based here in Cornwall. So I think, the big thing has been bringing on support, not gatekeeping, or not holding on so tight to that anymore, and realizing that actually I need a bit of help. I need people who share my vision, who want to make things happen as well. So it's expanded, I suppose. So initially there was a slowing down, but then we've re-emerged. I realise I'm talking so much with my hands, and this
we can't see that, but
audibly. But I'm making a sort of flower that goes down and opens again. So actually, in the long term, I feel like it's had a positive effect, because it's led to how we're now, I've expanded the board, and it's become more than just me. But initially, things had to slow down and take a pause.
And I think it's back to those things you don't get told, isn't it? You kind of feel I can do everything, I can carry on, it's all going to be the same. I take my maternity leave, I'll go back and it's all the same. And then you're like, these things are a little bit also, different here.
Do you want it to be the same? This story of, this dancer or whoever, they took 3 months and then they were back working. Okay, cool, that's great. If that's what they wanted, that's that's brilliant, that's amazing. Maybe it's not what we all want. maybe it's not what we all can do with our bodies,
No.
you know, depending on the kind of birth people have had and the
Yeah.
kind of experience, or, you know, if you don't have family nearby, which we don't here, so we don't have people like nearby there who could support. So it's, yeah, I think it's normalizing that it's okay for it to take time.
I love that. I think you're so right. So, with that all in mind, and from all of your experience in being a mother, what does happy and thriving mean to you?
Now this, I was thinking about this one. I had to journal this.
Oh, oh, good. I love
I
journaling.
was
I think
thinking,
it's
gosh, you know what?
amazing.
Yeah, I was thinking, I don't actually know. What does it mean? What does it mean to me? Um, and I think the biggest thing for me is a thrive. For me, I'm thriving when I've learned to let go of perfectionism, which is a subjective thing anyway, so it doesn't exist. Otherwise, some of us would reach it, right? And none of us ever reach it, or we never feel we reach it. So obviously, it doesn't exist. Letting go of expectations, you know, societal expectations, expectations we have of ourselves. There's a big this notion of in the yoga community, also, I let go of that which no longer serves me.
Mm.
And it's that, like, you know, is this serving me? No, it's not. And there are all these kind of expectations and pressures that I had on myself before I had a child, were not particularly helpful, but I could kind of just hustle and keep going and deal with them. Now that I have a child, and a child who's only sort of started sleeping properly quite recently.
Oh, I know how you feel.
Right. So actually, you know, I'm already dealing with quite a lot there, like all of us parents are. So actually, some of that stuff needs to go. And it's interesting. Like, thriving for me doesn't mean I've actually got everything all together. It doesn't mean everything's going exactly how I wanted it to. It's not to do with that, the outcome at all. It's to do with the expectation and just letting go.
I love that. And I think it's really hard to do.
Oh yeah,
I
I do
think
not
it's
manage it every day.
no, but I think
Some
having
days
the
more than others.
yeah, but having the intention is halfway there, I really think.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
actually, I've never thought of it like that. I letting go because I think we as you said, society really thinks you should grab on to all these things, grab on to everything and do everything. And actually, by allowing yourself that I'm going to let go of, as you said,
yeah,
expectations, perfectionism, you're freeing yourself up so much to actually be able to make the most of what you
yeah,
have and what you're doing, and even to do more because you don't have
it
that.
makes space, doesn't it? It
Yeah,
makes space in ourselves and just in our, you know, completely overworked brains.
yeah, completely overworked. But oh, thank you for sharing that. And oh, I love the fact you journal. I'm going to journal on that too. I think that's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, I just
So
find it quite useful, even if it's just
yeah,
5 minutes before my daughter wakes up. Just, you know,
quick
get
scribble something down.
spit something
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Oh, I agree. So off the back of that, I always ask my guests to share some tips of what they could suggest to help others also
Yes.
to thrive. So would you like to share yours with
Yeah,
us?
just looking at my notes here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so uh, I have in my journaling, I have a daily mantra each day. I was doing, you know, yearly words and monthly mantras and all that before, tried all sorts of different journaling techniques. And then I was watching a video with the American business mentor, Dean Graziosi, and he was talking about every morning he wakes up and he thinks of one thing he's grateful for. And I think he just like does that, but I write it down.
Yeah.
One thing he's grateful for, yesterday's win. So just something, you know, it could be like, I got my kids' shoes on. I mean, that could be, it's
That is a
probably not
battle
his, but that could be
sometimes, but
mine,
yeah,
right?
that is mine every day. I'm like,
We
yes,
got to nursery.
yeah, we got out the door. Hooray.
Today's win. So what that could be. And again, writing it like, I did this, as if you've already done it. And again, it could be a tiny thing. You know, I got out the house. Or, you know, I did my first podcast interview. Woohoo! Like today.
Yay.
And then my mantra today, because it just, it just changes every day. And by having a daily little mantra, I'm not, beholden to that one for the whole month. That just doesn't fit some days. Because some days, it's like, yeah, I can do this. I can and I will. There's obviously we're both a member of FEA with the amazing Carrie Green, and one of hers is, I can and I will, watch me. And I love it.
I love
And
that.
some
Watch
days,
me.
yeah, some days that's my mantra. And then days when I'm looking after my daughter the whole day, that is not my mantra. My mantra is, I accept whatever happens today.
Yes, survive the day.
Yeah,
Sometimes I'm
yeah,
just like, get through. You've done it.
exactly. I accept the
Amazing.
moment for what it is. So I find that really useful. And yeah, I get up early now. Now that my daughter has kind of a sleep routine, I get up earlier so I can do about 10 minutes of yoga, just a little bit of limbering up, and journal. There was a long time when that couldn't happen. She was a contact napper for a very, very long time. And so that would be you can't get up early. We had to co-sleep, and I know some people enjoy that. I found it difficult. But for us, it was necessary so that we could sleep. So I guess then it would be, when a contact nap is happening, scribbling at the side. So yeah, so I think it's finding the way of that works for you. Because I know I've read things before where people say, "Oh, get up early and do this," and I thought, my child is sleeping next to me, attached to me. I can't do that.
No.
So yeah, finding the way of answering those questions, even if it's just in your head.
Amazing.
So there's one I've heard said many times, but I always have to remind myself, especially for mums, is don't compare your journey to anyone else's.
I love that one. Yes.
It's so important, and I have to constantly remind myself. And I think with social media, which can be an amazing tool if you're in business, but if you're a sleep deprived mum who's up at 3 a.m. nursing for the 10th time that night or whatever, it can also be quite damaging. There can be a lot of overconsumption of what everyone else is doing and how they look like they're doing, and their opinions on this and their opinions on that. And yeah, I think that's the big one. What is it somebody said, we're all in the same sea but we've got different boats, or something like that I heard. And it wasn't to do with motherhood, it was to do with something else. Like, I think people's experience during COVID, I think that was due to their socioeconomic situation, like people were actually had quite a different experience of that. But I think it can apply to motherhood.
I think so.
So I think that's really important. Find your community, and ask for help and ask for support. For me, that was that WhatsApp group of mums, which initially it was from, we did the NCT course together, and then we all exchanged numbers, and then there's a local WhatsApp group for mums here in Falmouth that someone set up, which is just amazing. And
that's wonderful.
Oh, it's so great, and the early days when our little ones were babies, and we've been in there, talking about what's this rash they've got, what's this, and all those fun kind of things.
Has anyone seen this before?
Yeah, sending pictures, and just the sleep, and now they're all toddlers with sort of other delights and challenges, but we'll put in there, does anyone want to go for coffee this week, and we can go for a coffee. And yeah, that I did not realise before becoming a mum how much having that community of people who are going through the same experience would save me and would get me through some really difficult times that I think it's perfectly normal. So I think, yeah, find that community. If it's not obvious where they are, find it, seek them out, because there will be other mums there feeling the same way.
Definitely.
And wanting someone to chat to. And then my last big one, linked to the journaling, is celebrate the small wins.
I love that. Yes.
Like I said, getting the shoes on can be quite challenging with a 2-year-old.
Oh, it can. There's so
them
many things. I know. The shoes, clothes in general, that can be an interesting one sometimes.
Some of those. times, or just getting out the house, it's
Yeah.
raining, oh, what am I going to do? Oh, I took them to, Asda, and they had a run around, and it was a real fun experience. Great.
Yeah, we did it. But we did it. And we left the house
But
and
we
had to
did
change
it,
the
yeah,
scenery. And it's wonderful.
exactly. And I think it's linked to expectations, isn't it? And actually, the small wins are all important. They're all important, and don't underestimate that, and celebrate them all.
And I think
And
sometimes
within your business.
we're not good at that celebration part, are we? I think everyone finds it very easy sometimes to be like, oh, this isn't going right, or this was really hard. But actually to say, I got out the house today. It was
Yeah.
wonderful. That was amazing. I remember, I think it was the first time when I had my firstborn, and we were having, it was with my NCT group, and it was like the first meetup after everyone had had their baby. And I was an hour late, and I was at home in tears because I just couldn't get out the house. And then I got there, and I was like the second one there. And I was like, I should actually be really proud of myself rather than absolutely. I was so distraught. And actually, I made it. I was there. One other person was there, and everyone else was in exactly the same situation. And I think you don't realize it until you kind of live it, and you're like, this is actually okay. And I think that links
And
back with,
it's okay to it's okay to find it hard as well.
yeah,
Like, I'm celebrating the wins, but I'm also acknowledging, oh, today was a struggle.
yeah,
And those early days, in the NCT group, we joke, we could always hear when I was coming with Evie, because you'd hear the screaming first, and none of the other babies seemed to have colic, or whatever it is.
mm.
And they'd always know when Jennie and Evie were arriving, because you'd hear.
Oh,
But that was okay. Like, I
yeah,
still went
yeah,
along, and nobody didn't want
minded.
me there just because my
No.
baby was screaming. And they would offer to hold her sometimes, and it was just that real support and connection. Um, has just been, oh my gosh, it's just been everything.
It's so important. I love all of your ideas there. So having a daily mantra, and through journaling, finding your own way, which kind of supports you and puts you in a good place to start the day. Finding a routine that kind of works for you in relation to that, so important, because I think you're right. There's so many, do it this way or do it that way, or you should do this, and you should write down 3 things you're grateful for, whatever it is. But actually, it's got to be the right thing for you to do. So I think
Yeah.
that's a great point. Not comparing yourself to anybody else's journey, because everything is different. Everyone's experience is different. And I agree, social media is terrible for thinking that what you're doing is terrible, but
Wrong.
actually it's your race, it's
Yeah.
your thing. You've got to do it your way, and that's what works. Finding your community and asking for help, and then celebrating the small wins. I love those. Thank you so much for sharing those. And my final question to you is, where can everybody find you? Where can people come and see the fabulous performances by the Brave
Oh
Biscuit
my gosh.
Studios, and see what you're doing? And also, I know we haven't had a chance to talk about it, but I know you're a very busy lady with your lovely well-being creative membership
Oh yes.
project
Yeah.
in the pipeline as well. I mean, busy.
Yeah, I struggle to focus just on one thing. There's so much I want to do. Well, I suppose the first thing is the Seagulls are back.
Brilliant.
We've got 2 show dates, so it's a limited run in Cornwall this summer. We've got 2 show dates confirmed so far. That is the 31st of July, which will be in Penzance, and the 24th of August, which will be in Falmouth. Details of those will be going on the website shortly, but possibly by the time this airs, they'll be on the website.
Exciting.
if I've picked that off in time.
Yeah.
So if you're local down this way, please do come and see it. If you're coming down on your holidays, come along. It's great fun. It's a good laugh, and there'll also be some workshops where everyone can make their own seagull puppets out of a loo roll tube.
It's amazing what you can do with those, isn't it? Amazing.
Lovely little craft. So that's the next big thing. I'm also putting together a puppetry course for English language teachers.
Wow.
So that's using it in the EFL classroom, because I've got experiences in English language as a foreign language teacher. So
yeah.
That's something. So watch this space.
Yeah.
I'm also set up as a creative virtual assistant. So alongside this work, I'm offering creative support to businesses, initially locally, but if there is anybody, further afield who would like a little bit of help with their copy, their graphics, a little bit of light touch design, let me know. And the big thing is later this year, I'm launching a creativity and wellbeing membership, initially for mums, and to sort of paint a picture. Every month we'll meet online with a beverage of choice.
Nice.
I will probably be there with a glass of red, and we'll make something, and it'll be very responsive. So if it's time of year, say October, and members are saying, "Oh, we've got to make these costumes for Halloween," I just don't know where to start. I don't want to spend loads of money. Then I'll say, "Great, this month that's what we'll do. We'll gather together. We'll make something fun out of things that we have around the house." So that'll be the vibe.
World Book Day springs to mind on that one for me. Exactly as you just said that. Get that booked in for March.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's kind of got a little bit of a Blue Peter feel, but with wine. And
I think that sounds brilliant. What a great combination.
Yeah. So that will be launching in a few months' time. So the best thing is if people sign up to the Brave Biscuit Studios mailing list, which is just on the website. You scroll down, you can sign up. You'll find out all about Seagulls tickets. You'll find out about the wellbeing membership, and I'll pop a little bit about the virtual assistant work in there as well.
Lovely. Well, Jennie, thank you so much for being a guest today. I hope your first podcast guesting hasn't been too terrifying. Oh, good.
No, lovely. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.